Hi everybody, my name is Ariela HaLevi and welcome to Soul Centered. Tonight is the healing experience, so I am going to talk to you tonight about what I've been doing all week actually is yoga and meditation. And tonight I want to talk about something that's probably on most of our minds and probably something we're all experiencing is stress and anxiety. And to offer you some tips and tools that I use in my daily life, that I use in my practice with clients, but really that I've used, that I use every single day in my own life to get through not only this intense time, but just daily living. Because even before the coronavirus, life was pretty full and busy and intense, right? So, also, I've had quite a day, so I think it's very telling that I should be talking about ways to release your stress and anxiety. So I'm just right in it with all of you, and I'd love to know your comments and questions if you have any. So let's talk about ways to release stress and anxiety. And before that, I'm going to talk about ways in which we cope and handle ourselves living in an anxious world. Again, this is pre-virus, hopefully not post-virus, but especially in the virus situation. So maybe you've heard, or maybe you will see yourself in these three types of people. The first type of person that feels anxious is kind of pumps up themselves and appears that they're stronger than they really are. They appear more confident, they're go-getters, they're in a negative way, they can bully, they can blame, they act superior than everybody else. So that is someone who is in fear and stress and anxiety, but they just mask it with inflating themselves. The other type of person is someone who collapses into themselves, who hides their feelings to protect others or themselves in some way. It's someone who plays victim, who plays small, someone who hides and withdraws. So maybe you hear yourself in some of that as well. The third one is someone who becomes extremely uptight and controlling, someone who builds walls, someone who has extreme boundaries around themselves so they don't need to feel, and they don't really let anybody else in because of the fear of somebody trying to break down those walls that they've created. So that type of person is very judgmental, very much a perfectionist, criticizes, argues, things like, and just comes off as very tightly wound and anxious. So you may hear yourself in one person in particular, or maybe you're all of those people some of the time. We all have those pieces. But that's kind of like what happens when we're not dealing with our stress and anxiety is that's what happens. Hi, Cindy. Hi, John. This is what happens when we ignore stress and anxiety and we just let it kind of float around in our bodies. What I'd like to talk about is the fact that stress and anxiety has always been here, right? This is nothing new. This situation right now is just shining a light on the anxiety and stress that we've all kept inside most of our lives probably. If you're a very calm person, that's awesome and wonderful. I can't imagine living in the times that we live in that you're not busy and just a little bit stressed. So over the years, we've built up coping mechanisms to deal with our busyness, our stress, anxiety, our fears. And I would like to offer you now some tools to stay in a higher vibration. So what does that mean? So, for example, I can feel when my body starts to become tense and fearful. My stomach automatically hurts. I can't breathe. It's like I see double vision. Like I can't see clearly when I'm this stressed and anxious. So what happens is I know that's a signal, a sign that I need to go somewhere by myself for 30 seconds, 1 minute, or perhaps an hour. It depends how long you have, and really collect myself. And so I'm going to start giving you now some tools to learn how to connect to yourself and to release anxiety and fear instead of just letting it fester inside of us. The first step I'd like to talk about is we won't go through all the steps I have tonight, but I'm going to touch on a few really important ones. And then as the weeks go by, I think we'll touch on more. So this first number one important step is connecting. Often, I think so often, our head is revered. Our minds are revered as the most important part of who we are. We thrive ourselves as a society on how intellectual you are, how many degrees you have, and how fast you can, manipulate and do things in the world. So the problem is that our emotions don't live in our mind. Our emotions live in our bodies. And when we are trying to process emotions through the mind, so there is nothing wrong with talk therapy, but I know people, especially clients who have been in talk therapy for years, or talking it out is mostly using our mind as a way to process our emotions. So what happens is we leave our body behind. Connecting with our bodies allows us to really understand how we are feeling. So the first step is, if I asked you, where does your stress live in your body? What would you say? Okay, so I told you my stress, it kind of varies, but my stress right now is living in my stomach. How do I know that? Because I have practiced just closing my eyes. All you need to do is close your eyes to get rid of the talk in our mind and to get rid of the physicality of life and to go deeper inside of ourselves. So connecting to your breath and asking yourself a question until you hear the answer. Where does your stress live? Where do I feel anxious right now? So often, especially right now, I feel like for me and for a lot of my clients and people I've talked to, the stress and anxiety, wherever it's living right now, has always lived there. So many people say, oh yeah, whenever I get stressed, I can feel it in the back of my neck. So my question to you is, how long has your stress and anxiety been there? And can you tap in to when you have a first memory of stress and anxiety? My first memory of stress and anxiety is when my parents got divorced when I was 13. I started having stomach issues then. I started to become I felt like I was in knots and pulled in two different directions. So all of a sudden in this moment of quarantine, when there's more quiet in the world, when I'm not driving 4 kids in 4 different places, when I'm able to sit more, yes, I have a house full of children now, but I'm able to carve out just a little space and time for myself, I can find that those old wounds are coming back up. They're not here to scare us. They're here to heal us. So the first step in de-stressing is connecting. Where do you feel your stress now? And if there were a place in your body that kind of started this whole stressor, when would it be? What picture in your mind or in your body comes up first? And if I asked you, here's the second step. If I asked you what emotion goes with the picture in your mind, what is the feeling? And then I would ask you to take a really deep breath and to feel that feeling. It takes some practice, but I know that this can be done. Why? Because I do it every day and because I've seen great, great success with the people that I've worked with and also my family members. So feeling that stress, where does it held in your body? If there was a picture in your mind of when you had your original stressor, what would it be? And how does it make you feel? Right? And so I can tell you, my grandmother died 3 weeks ago. I ran to Los Angeles 2 weeks in a row, said goodbye, and then went to her funeral, and then raced back home to quarantine. And I could feel my body in knots and stress. And so when I connected to my body, it was heavy grief and anxiety from flying and just anxiety from life. And I traced it back to grief when my mom passed away 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago. And so I had to kind of relive a little bit of that grief. And then it was miraculous how that grief was freed from my body. And if it ever comes up again, of course, grief comes in waves. I know where it's held, and I can go back in and feel the emotion and release it a little bit faster and a little bit easier. So what happens now when we connect to our bodies, when we feel our emotions, when we feel it in our bodies and not from here in our head, is that we create more space. Now that there's more space in your body, you can start connecting and healing and feeling your messages and guidance from your body. So once you create space and you feel more calm, you may find, so I do this in a few different ways, but the easiest way I find is that the calm takes over your body and you are able to feel the peace and calm. And then your body's going to start giving you tools and tips of its own as to how to handle life now. So for an example is one client I worked with had hives that has come up for her in her neck and on her stomach after it's been gone for years. And so once we helped her connect to the stress of having hives and what lived inside of there, so what emotions were there, she was less itchy. So first of all, her body felt better. And then we went a little bit deeper and we said, what is the message here for you? And the message was to take every situation as it comes, one moment at a time. So her deepest message that she was given, I didn't give it to her, it was inside of her, was that she was told to stay in the present moment. Her message, her divine body wisdom message, was to stop watching the news because the news created more hives. So she turned off the news. She got her news from her husband. So she turned off the news. She only took in what was necessary. She lived in this bubble inside of her world, living in quarantine. And she created a schedule for herself that worked for herself in today's world. So she continued to get up at a certain time. She created space for herself in meditation and to feel her emotions. She spoke. I know this is going to sound really funny, but she spoke to her hives. So she spoke to that itchy skin that was caused by so much fear. And what she found inside of them were divine messages from her body. Slow down. I'm here with you. Her body kept telling her, I'm here with you. Her body kept saying, it's going to be okay. Take a breath. Stay in the present moment. Stop watching the news. It gave her all these tips and tools of her own. And so what I have done to help her is to help her calm her nervous system by what I call energy clearing. So this is Reiki that I have helped her do that you can do also on your own, is just to feel inside of your body where the tight places are and close your eyes and send energy and love to your body, because really that's what we need. If you are feeling ill, if you are feeling stressed and nervous, I invite you to close your eyes and place your hand on a body part that feels intense and stressed. Connect, breathe, slow down, and send your energy and love to those places that need more help. I like to imagine that I'm holding a child in my hands, whether it's your own child when they were younger or if they are younger, whether it's your child within when you were younger, or just a child, any child will do. I imagine that I'm holding a child. And what would happen if a child were stressed or nervous or anxious? You would hold that child. You would tell that child that it's going to be okay. You would tell that child that we would figure this out. You would tell that child to probably breathe, take a deep breath. What I tell my child, and I also tell my children, is to ground yourself. through closing your eyes and taking a deep breath in and imagining a beautiful light going down from your body all the way into the earth. So inside the earth is, you can imagine, a crystal. This is my meditation for my children and also for myself. Inside of the earth is a crystal, beautiful color, whatever you choose. Connect your beautiful light and your energy to that crystal and hold it there. And imagine that you are being held by the earth. And then imagine a beautiful, beautiful light going above your head, connecting to the divine, connecting to light, connecting to the universe, connecting to your higher self, whatever you believe or don't believe, it doesn't really matter. And so bringing up your beautiful light and connecting to a higher light above you. So the grounding comes down into the earth and your light goes up into the divine, and then feel your body in between that. And this is where the openness comes, when you actually feel what you're really feeling. Running right now from our emotions will not serve us. It never serves us. But especially in these trying times, it's as if all of our wounds and our triggers are coming up. Someone said to me this beautiful thing that I'll end with right now. This time is not about self-improvement. It's not about doing hard, intense, deep introspective work on yourself. Even with, for those of you that celebrate Passover or even Easter, this is not a time of deep, hard, introspective work. This is a time to remember that you are already whole. There is nothing to do but remember that that essence, the divine essence of who you really are inside, is love. There is nothing else but wholeness and love inside of you. It just takes some layers and time to be removed and to be felt, to remember that you are already whole. So please join me again. You can look on mysoulcenter.org or join our Facebook page and group to hear about more healing opportunities. I will be offering more yoga classes. In addition, I offer these types of experiences, just little talks on healing and how to listen to your divine body wisdom and really connect. I also offer 30-minute consultations. Normally it's a consultation to discover how we would work together. This is possible too. Right now it's really an opportunity for you to, if you're feeling intensely anxious and stressed, I'm offering just a time for you to really feel how to connect to your body and your specific issues right now. So please reach out to me. I love your comments and I love your ideas and anything that you have to share. And I will see you soon. Namaste and shalom.